What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the other side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
And LeVon Maynard.
Hey, welcome to the show.
What is going on? Welcome to Tuesday's episode. So Monday and Tuesday are our topics. Wednesday, we have a really good discussion with Mike Ware, so definitely tune in for that one about diversity and inclusion. No Ask Us SP this week for Thursday, but Friday, the weekly rundown where we talk about everything else, games, movies, books, all that good stuff. So definitely tune in for that. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article is from infosecurity-magazine.com, and it was written by Phil Muncaster. The title of this one is French Hospitals Cut Internet Connection After Data Raid. So these guys took an all-out approach of just cut the wire, like they took an axe to it. No, not really. They didn't even take an axe to it. But what this is about is a French hospital group was forced to cut internet connectivity in 2 locations after hackers stole data in an attempted extortion campaign. So these hackers wanted a $1.3 million ransom demand to get the information back. And they were just like, no, we're not going to pay it. We're just going to cut the internet and we're going to do things the old school way is what they ended up doing, right? They're doing stuff by like pen and paper, the original computer, right? Like the print side was where the lead was, the delete was the eraser, right? That's the old school way of doing things. But yeah, so like, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, seeing everything that we've seen, and I know a lot of the stuff that we do on the show is usually things that happen in America, but things that are America specific when it comes to water treatment plants and colonial pipeline, they don't only just apply to America, right? Like people overseas got to be paying attention to this, especially when it comes to medical, right? And so the group themselves, they say that they weren't really affected in way of losing personal data, but the group, let's see, I'll find it here. It claimed in a notice that internal IT systems, including electronic patient records, have not been affected and that patients continue to receive a high quality level of care. But it said that some services are not available, right? So you can't book appointments online or anything like that because they cut the internet for doing anything to and from these hospitals that were affected. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, especially when it comes to hospitals, right? And this is in France, mind you, right? So this isn't in the United States, it's in France, but we all need to be taking better care when it comes to what am I trying to say? Like protecting privacy, right? And what people have, especially when it comes to medical records, right? Because that's one of those things where it can be used to like kind of maybe blackmail people, you know what I mean? Like
right.
You got something that someone may not want out there, someone famous, right? Like if President Macron, right? If he goes to one of these hospitals, right? That's the French president's name, right? Macron? Am I saying that wrong?
It sounds right to me.
Macron, M-A-C-R-O-N, yeah. But like if he goes to one of these hospitals, you get something on him, right? Like it could be something, they'd be like, oh, well, we see you got, gonorrhea or whatever, right? The wife don't have it, like, I'm just making that up.
Who's your mistress? We know who your mistress is.
Yeah. So like we just gotta have better care when it comes to stuff like this, you know what I mean? But yeah, these hackers, they say some stuff leaked on the dark web, right? The attackers include social security details, banking information, and patient letters, which the hospital group says wasn't released. But it's one of those things where I would automatically assume that it was out there, right? Like, I don't think they're putting that out there just to say it if they didn't have something to back it up, if they don't get their 1.3 million. But LeVon, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, I think you did a great job covering this. I mean, it's you kind of have a lot of the same thoughts I have on this topic. It's like, first of all, it's like the fact that, this information got leaked out. It could be used to kind of sabotage somebody, blackmail somebody into getting some money out of them so that they don't reveal some personal data. But it's one of those situations, and this is kind of like a little bit of like a rehash, or like we've seen many stories like this, where these hackers are attacking sensitive locations, with hospitals or like the Keystone Pipeline, all that kind of stuff. Or not Keystone Pipeline, but the Colonial Pipeline, yeah. Keep that as a separate topic. Colonial Pipeline. But the hackers really have no like boundaries. Like they go after whatever they feel is like a opportunity where they can get some sort of money, get money out of any kind of business, whether it's a hospital pipeline, or it's a packaging plant, like food packing, or if it's a farm that we talked about in one of the other episodes. They go after anything where they see opportunity where they can get some money. And it's kind of a shame. You think that'd be some sort of like, like a little bit of like a code or some sort of like sense of honor between the hackers, where they're not going to go after sensitive locations like these. It's one thing to attack like a hospital where people are just trying to get help and save people's lives, and there's another thing to be like attacking like I don't know, like IT company that's doing work. It has a bunch of money or something, or like whatever you can think of, like a construction company or something. But yeah, people going to hospitals, they assume that they can go there for care and have their information secured. But obviously there's hackers out there trying to get their stuff. And hopefully, like I know we mentioned this before, or at least I've mentioned before, that it'd be very curious to find out how these hackers got into this particular location, what their method of hacking was. I know to disclose that information for maybe various reasons, but it'd be very interesting to know, like, okay, how did you find out that they got, you got hacked, or like where was the source of the intrusion, and how can this maybe help other companies avoid this same kind of situation? But I guess with that, I'll turn over to you, Ryan. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I would say even though they didn't release it in the past when we covered this, like NHS was hit because of end of life operating systems. So I think WannaCry targeted them. They were on XP and some other older versions of Windows. That's how they got back at that time. So probably end of life stuff or some other vector where you were like, we probably could have fixed this, but budgets and constraints, and can you even update medical records on a different one, right? Like just because you upgrade doesn't mean you won't break your back end by doing the upgrade. So there's a lot of factors and what have you, most unlikely. But again, you have to figure those things out, right? Like you can't just not upgrade, you can't just not patch vulnerabilities. You have to figure out how to fix it. In this case, they did the right thing by not paying. My only concern would have been, we talked about it last year, where a hospital was attacked and they also unplugged themselves. And then an infant passed away. So like as a hacker in this situation, like you could be liable for somebody's death. Potentially if somebody were to receive improper treatment or what have you. Let's say they need some, like they had some kind of allergic reaction because they couldn't go through the medical records to find out, like, oh, this person's allergic to this. And then they can potentially attribute that to you, saying, oh, well, had they have access to their records, they wouldn't have given them this, dosage of whatever that ended their life. So I wouldn't attack a hospital. I just don't think that's the ROI on that just does not seem worth it, to be honest with you. Like you think, oh, okay, they're a soft target and they're going to pay. They're not. But if somebody dies, is that on you? Potentially. So I would definitely leave that one alone. But they're not getting their money. They cut the Hardline, like in Transformers, where he took the axe, because that's how you stop internet from working.
You picked up on what I was putting down.
Yeah, he's like, cut the Hardline.
Right.
Like, why you have a telephone pole in in the headquarters? Like, don't make any sense. We got switches. You can unplug power. But yeah, so they did the right thing, and luckily they were robust enough to be able to go back kicking it old school and handing out medical charts and things of that nature. I'm sure a lot of hospitals are figuring that out now. Like, it's a backup plan. Like, what's our plan in case we go dark? They'll have the ability to pull medical records. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, I would assume that'd be part of their planning. Fascinated by that now. I definitely want to get some more information on that. Because you don't hear enough about that, in my opinion, as a patient. Like, what are you going to do in case this happens? Like, what's your backup plan?
Well, because at that point you're kind of going backwards, right? Like it's a digital world, right? So like if everybody's going the digital route, like why what is the purpose of keeping everything on paper backup like that, right? Like you're trying to get
Yeah,
away
it's
from
true.
that, save space. We got a room here that's all that stuff is stored on, right? We have
Yeah.
many terabytes, you know what I mean, of data that has all that on it. So if you're just going to go back to the paper, then why spend the money in having the virtual environment or having the uh, digital environment? You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
which is very true. Yeah, I had a family member. She did medical record transcription, like so she was taking all the paper records and making them digital. Was her job. But what happens? You can't get to those digits. That's the question. I guess triage, right? Like they'll ask you a bunch of questions if you're conscious, make sure they don't give you something that'll harm you. But definitely fascinating. I'm glad they didn't pay. That's good. We always preach about that. Like, do not pay. Report it. Get some help from whomever, but do not pay the money. So they didn't. So kudos to them, and they said they were able to still give high quality medical care. So the ransomwares get nothing in this case except for a bad name. So sucks to be you. But with that being said, please continue to tune in. Please continue to hit that like button, subscribe, all those good things. Hit a bell. There's a bell involved. Uh, we're starting to see the numbers come up. So share with your friends. Keep us out there in the cybersecurity landscape so people can tune in and learn, hopefully learn something or at least be entertained by the stuff they already know. Hit us up on all of our socials, which is the other side of the firewall podcast. And then you can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. I'm on Twitter, LinkedIn, Clubhouse, and TikTok. And you, LeVon?
Yes, sir. You can hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.